Hey team, I want to talk about the priority of payment out of a liquidation should you find yourself in the unfortunate position of being a creditor in a liquidation. So liquidators have a very clear statutory priority regime that they need to comply with when they are divvying up the assets or proceeds of assets of a company. So, I think the first thing to think about is, secured creditors sit out in a class of their own. So, if you're a secured creditor, then you're going to have first dibs on going into the company, potentially appointing a receiver if the security agreement allows for that, heading in, taking control of the assets and realising them to satisfy your debt. And so that puts you in a really, really preferential position. So ideally you want to be a secured creditor if you're a creditor in a liquidation. But then there's all of the others that usually fall into the pool of creditors. So assuming that there is a recovery for liquidators to distribute to creditors, the priorities generally go: liquidators pay their own fees first, then they pay their expenses. So that's the advertising in the liquidation, that's all the mandatory expenses that they have. Could be lawyers or external professionals that they've used, those also get paid. You've got the petitioning creditor, so the person who actually went to court, if it did happen through court. That creditor is able to get their reasonable legal fees paid for taking those steps. And anyone any creditor who has funded the protection of assets in the liquidation. So this could be a creditor who, went on site, took possession of assets that may have been lost, and provided those to the liquidator, or it could be there could have been litigation that the liquidator wanted to pursue against, say, a director or another party, but the liquidator didn't have funds to pursue that, to pay lawyers. So sometimes liquidators go to the pool of creditors and say, hey, look, I've got this claim, these are the economics, these are the merits, does anyone want to fund it? Now, as a creditor, if you fund that, you're entitled to get the money that you put into the kitty back first, and then your debt that was due in the liquidation paid as a preference to anyone that's below you in the list. The next creditors are employees. So employees, there's some maximums, but employees are entitled to be paid next, and then some parts of IRD debt. So this is the general list of priorities and the most common ones that come up in liquidation. There are others that fit into that mix, but they're very, very uncommon. So I've just overlooked those for the purposes of this short video. But look, if you do find yourself in a position where you are a creditor in a company in liquidation, my advice is be proactive in your communication with the liquidator. If you can assist them in pursuing claims in some way, explore that and get very clear with the liquidator up front what the economics of doing that will be for you. And just be mindful that liquidators typically have, a lot of the bigger firms, they have hundreds of liquidations that they get every single year, and the reality is they're not going to be able to do everything on every single liquidation, and they're more likely to do the minimum on a lot of them. So if you can give the liquidators reasons to take action, then you're more likely to get your company, your debtor company, prioritized over others that they're juggling in their practice. Look, if you want any advice on insolvency or liquidation, it's what we do. I'm happy to have a conversation. We do offer a free 30-minute legal consultation, so if you're interested in that, we'll put the link in the description below, and you can click the link, book directly into my calendar. Hopefully you don't need my help, but if you do, that offer is there. Cheers.